Yes. What's going on, family? What's going on? This is Drew, and we have a potential big day ahead with the CPI data. I have a few really clean setups that I like. I'm going to share with you all, and yeah, let's get to it, man. Right now it's currently 4:13 on the East Coast, 4:13 a.m. So hey, we here to get it, man. Up top, we don't stop. But let's get right into it, man. So I got five tickets for tomorrow that I really like. Market is definitely primed for a good move. So gonna drop some levels so we can all map them out on our charts. I'll give the entries and targets as well too, man. So let's get right into it. So first one's first is SPY, right? We're gonna go over SPY. So first, I'm going to drop the levels, and then we'll go into detail about the thesis and everything like that, right? So for SPY, we have 775 for the top, right? We have 775. Then we also have 770 slash 769 and 767.5. So those are the three areas I'm watching on SPY tomorrow. What's important on SPY right now is that, so notice we've been running, right? Since we bottomed on the end of July, we've just been running straight up. Now we're in about 5 days of range, right? 5 days of consolidation. So if you look closely, you can see that we are ranging between 775 and 770, right? Which is a $5 range, which implies once this range can break out, the minimal measured move should be $5, right? So to give you a visual, if we were to plot the range, boom, and then we apply it to the top, boom, of course that's going to give you 780, and if you apply it to the bottom, that's going to give you 765, right, at a minimum. But SPY is in a cool spot right now because, like I said, we popped up and we're just ranging right now. So for us to go higher, ideally we want to see a pullback, right? And ideally we want to see a pullback to previous highs, which is at 760. So this will be nice. And this is only about a 1% move, right? It's a 1.14% move from where we are currently, which is it's not that's not a big move. Um, with CPI, that can definitely be the catalyst that's going to go ahead and propel us there. But without bias, we can also go higher too, right? Because they can come to 770 and they can fake break it down and they can buy it off of this 776 or 770 and take us higher from there. So we gotta be real nimble, real flexible tomorrow. Not first to the party, right? Especially on the CPI days, you don't want to get faked. You don't want to get bagged on a day like CPI. So just patience, let the setup come, right? If we're taking downside, I always like to wait for the retest, downside or upside. For instance, when I say not being first to the party, this is what I mean, right? So say we have this 770 level right here. So once prices break down, I would not enter on the first breakdown. I would let it break, and then once it retests 770, I would let it come back up to 770. That'll be my entry. And that's a high probability setup y'all can use on a daily basis is the break and retest. And more times than not, that second move is the better move anyway. It's going to be more fluid and it's going to be more follow through, right? If we take the initial break, yeah, sometimes it'll just break and fall without giving you an entry. But you run the risk of if you get in and push on the lows, you run the risk of um, getting caught in a liquidity sweep or a dip buy. So it's got to be careful with that. Same with the upside, right? Especially being at all time highs, I would not take it. I would not take the breakout of 775. I would let it break and then retest. And if it holds 775 on the retest, that would be my entry to take it back to the highs. But we definitely don't want to be taking calls at the highs because this could easily break here and fake and then come back down, fail 775 and come back down, which that'll be another setup I'll be watching as well too. But the most important thing is that it's currently ranging right now between 775 and 770. So no mid-range entries. We don't like SPY at all in these areas. We want this range to break. And once it does break, we should know that we have about a $5 move to make at least. So, and CPI could definitely propel us there. If we don't gap. So yeah, below the 770, 769, and 767.5, we can get below that. We have nothing until 760, and then we have a gap down here to 757, right? And then more gaps down here. But only looking for about a 1% move if we do get bearish for this reset. And if we come down here and hold, I'll be a buyer down here off of this 760 or 757 gap fill. I'll be a buyer in these areas. So I'm going to keep that on watch. So I'm going to go over the levels again. Let's make sure we write them down so we have them. So 775 for a top, 769/770, right? That's the range support. And then 767.46. I have 0.46, but for some reason, yeah, it's 0.46. I just have it wrong on here. So that's what we're looking at for SPY. The next ticker I have is the DIA. This is the Dow Jones ETF. Let me cut this Wi-Fi on. Looks like acting kind of funky now. Okay, so I really like this setup as well too. You can see we are coming from highs. This is a name that looks very weak with the immediate gap below, right? Big gap too. So to go over the levels, we have 541.72 is the top, and then 536.91. That's the bottom. So the DIA is in the range right here too. You can see smaller range is about $4, right? $4 or $5, but it's ranging right here too. Nice bearish engulfing the previous two daily candles, and we have this gap. And then we got that previous all-time high at 532.5, right? So that puts the DIA at about just south of a 1% move, right? So it's about 0.85% move. But this is still a good move, right? Because from 536 to 531, that's a good $5 move, right? So you see how that goes hand in hand with the range. The range is about $5, and then this gap is about $5. So if we can get a breakdown, we should expect that gap to get filled at a minimum. So that's what we'll be looking at on DIA. And again, we would not take the initial breakout, right? Don't want to be first to the party. We'll let it break and then retest. And then if it retests and holds, that'll be our entry. That'll be our entry for the Dow. So again, that level is 536.91. And then the targets would be 532.5, previous all-time high. The gap fill here. And then we also have a weekly gap all the way down to 524. So that's a plus $10 move if we can get that. So really like the DIA. Next ticker I have is NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, we've been watching this since last week, man. The reason why is because NVIDIA is ranging as well too, right? But look, this is a big range, right? From 190 to about 215. That's a $25 range, right? So remember, this implies that once this range can break, that's about a $20 move to the upper or downside. And we broke to the upside, right? So all we're looking at on the video is a retest of this range, right? This range supply to turn demand. And you can see also we're breaking the daily trend too, right? We were making a downtrend. We made a high, lower high, lower high. We broke out of that. So looking for this to come back, retest this trend, retest this range. And I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer in these levels, all right? So anywhere between this 213 to 215 zone, I'm a buyer. And that'll also fill this imbalance, this gap right here as well too. So if we go to the hourly, we can get a better look. So I'll be looking for NVIDIA to come down a bit, right? You can see we should have good buys right here. So you can see setting up, and it's like it's almost bull flagging down into this. So 213 to 215 zone, go ahead and put a rectangle or a box there, and that's what I'll be looking at for upside on the video. And if we do get that first target is just going to be that recent high we made, which is 225. So that's a $10+ move right there. And then we can move another $15 off of that. That'll be the full TP. That'll be the full measure move of the range, which will put us slightly above new all-time high. So the video can do this kind of move. It gets real squeezy. So yeah, let's pay close attention to this NVIDIA. So 213 to 215, that's the level we have on the video. Now for the downside, right? If we come down here and fail, we can go down. But like I said, I would not take the puts at the lows. If it fails, I'll let it fail. Once it comes back up and if it holds this zone right here, then that'll be our entry, right? We'll take the break retest. So we can hit the video either way. We can hit the video either way because if it does fail, this 215, look where we're headed, right? 190, 190, and if CPI doesn't come back how it's expected, good chance market can sell. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just important. Let's not have no bias and just be prepared to play both sides and be real nimble, right? We gotta go with the market. All right, next is Amazon. I really like the Amazon, and the Amazon is a higher time frame setup too. This is from the weekly, right? So let me go ahead and pull up the weekly. All right, so let's do this. I recorded this video a little bit earlier, like 30 minutes ago, but the sound was not on for some reason. So I'm doing it again. So that's why I had some of these levels mapped out uh, and drawings and stuff. But I'm gonna do it over live so we can see what's up. So Amazon weekly, right? So off rep, nice all-time high weekly rejection. I love this inverted hammer, right? Strong. This is a rejection candle right here, or week actually, I should say. And we're back below previous all-time high, so I like that. And then this current weekly candle is setting up very nice, right? So simple. All we're looking for here is a break of last week's low, which is 270.73, right? 270.73. Like I say, break and then retest that level, and then we in there for puts. And if we go to the daily, we can see why this is really nice because look at the room we have. If we break 270, there's nothing until 262. If we hit that, that's a gap. We have an earnings gap all the way down to 235 area, 240, right? You see this gap right here? It's an imbalance, so we can get filled. So if the market wants to sell, this is one of the names that I'll be paying close attention to. Because this is all-time high in supply, and look at how we have failed this level before, right? We failed here, got a nice sell, failed here, got a nice sell. We sold down what 275 to 225, almost a straight shot, right? And now we're here again, and we are failing, right? It broke out, it could not hold highs, so looks like we're going to be coming back down. So set your alerts, mark your levels, 270.66, right? Break and retest for puts. Um, I don't like downside. I don't like upside. I don't have any upside on Amazon at the moment. So this I'm just looking for downside. So Amazon 270.66. Uh, Also, we didn't even go over the bearish divergence as well too. So along with everything else I said, check this out. Stock is making higher highs, right? So higher high, and then if we go to the RSI, which is the relative strength index, it gives you over bought and oversold levels. High, lower high is making a lower high, which is indicating a potential reversal, right? So the stock is making higher highs, but the indicator is telling us that it's making lower highs. So this is called bearish divergence, right? So when you see this on like a higher time frame, like a weekly, this is a warning. This is a warning that a potential reversal is imminent, right? So, and if we're right, I mean we're at the top, and you can see the room we have down with that daily gap. So that's another good setup, Amazon. And I have one more setup, XYZ, which is block. That's Cash App, Jack Dorsey. That's what that is. I haven't traded this ticker all year. I haven't traded this ticker this year yet, but it's finally given a setup I like. And this one I'm going to start at the weekly too. Oh yeah, another thing. And these setups that we're looking at from the weekly, that has the weekly setups, these are swings. These are potential swings because they're forming on the weekly. These may not even happen tomorrow or this week. So we want to look at contracts at least 1 to 2 weeks out on these setups because these are pending huge moves, right? So real quick, if I can just go to Google, which is what we took today, what we swung it from yesterday. Um, Same thing here, right? So this was the weekly candle, and it was an all-time high failure, a lower high, and we took it below last week's low, right? I think it did what, $13 today? Look at today's candle. Yeah, $12.80, 3.6%, right? So we were in this. I took about 32%, I think. I was trailing my stop and it ended up stopping me out. But these contracts ran to 140% plus, 140% plus, right? And we had weekly contracts. So, and you see, same like just like Amazon, it broke that weekly and there's nothing until way down here. It has a gap. So, where do you think Google is going from here? And it looked like it may give a retest too. So, just wanted to point out those weekly setups. Shout out Ron too. Shout out Ron, one of our admins. Uh, he uses the strap. We call him the swing guy, man, Mr. 100%. He got me on the weekly candle wave heavy. Um, and it just makes sense, top down analysis and the higher time frame break, the more force the move is potentially to have. So I like to see multiple time frames line up. So back to the XYZ, start at the weekly. So clean setup here, man. We got supply at this 80, 81, 82 level. Nice rejection here. Look at this strong inverted hammer with volume, right? Bearish engulfing off of supply. Nasty, nasty. Testing this trend line right here, right? This uptrend is at risk, right? So simple. Just like Amazon, we want to see a last week's low break. 77.92 is last week's low. So a break and retest of that, and we in there for puts. And we have a weekly gap way down here at 70, 69.70, which it is about a 10% move, but it can happen. Um, but remember, this is a swing setup, so we would have some time on this, and we would aim to catch that whole move if it wants to do it. So yeah, so you can see trend here is at risk. Nice rejection off supply, and it's been moving sideways for about 3 days. So this either wants to continue down or it's going to reverse back up. So we don't want to get in yet until we can break last week's low, and then that'll give us our entries and our trigger, right? So you see if we break that, we got an immediate gap here, a couple more gaps here, right? So we got a bunch of gaps to fill, a bunch of imbalances to fill. So XYZ is a top watch too. So those are the 5 names that I'm looking at for today, post CPI. So it's a very highly anticipated day. Let's just remember to stay nimble, right? Don't be first to the party. Take your trims, trail your stop, and just be patient. Just be patient, man. Let the setup come to you. I'll be trading live inside the Discord as we do every day. So that's where you can catch me at. And yeah, we looking to capitalize, man. We looking for a nice pullback on the market, right? We need a good 1 to 2% sell day. We need that. It's around the corner somewhere. So that's what we waiting on, man. But yeah, that's what we have for this day ahead. 8/12, August 12th, right? It's now 4:33 a.m. So I see y'all at open.